Cardinal Ritter High School's football team has won back-to-back state championships. Their basketball team has won 2 straight titles, and the girls' track team has won 4 straight. Hello and welcome to Inside Sports. I'm your host, Todd Blackstock. On today's show, we have in studio Cardinal Ritter's head football and track coaches. And as far as the Lions are concerned, it's a family affair. So stay with us for this and much more coming up next on Inside Sports. There's an old Three Dog Night song called Never Been to Spain. Well, I've never been to Spain. I kind of like the music. And if I'm a young athlete in St. Louis, I want to play for Spain. That's coaches Brennan and Tiffany Spain at Cardinal Ritter High School. They're both here today. We're going to kick off our first segment with the Lions head football coach, Brennan Spain. Brennan, thanks a lot for joining us today. It's a wonderful thing to have you 2 back-to-back state titles, one in Class 5 and one in Class 3, and that's a pretty big task.
Yes, it was a tall task. Grateful and thankful to be a part of that, to be the first state title of Cardinal Ritter College Prep. But all it did was just kind of set the standard and the bar for the incoming guys and guys who are still remaining on that roster to push forward and continue to create great memories.
I'd tell you there's a lot of great standards, especially in basketball and track at Cardinal Ritter. I mean, you got 4 out of the last 5 state basketball titles. That's really amazing. I was looking where I see your enrollment isn't huge, but you did make the jump from Class 3 to Class 5. Is that a judgment call on the program's part, or I always thought it was an enrollment thing? So
now is what they call the success factor, and that goes into play for private schools as well as charter schools, and it's all about accumulating a certain amount of points over, I want to say maybe a 5 or 6 year span, and those points consist of district titles, state championships, as well as finishing in second. So after so long, you accumulate so many points, and you get bumped up to the next class.
So your success has moved you up there, and I'm looking at some of your high school seasons coming up this year. You're kicking things off against Jackson, Missouri, and then you've got some tough games on there. You're playing some big D1 schools like Francis Howell, DeSmet, and playing that Class 6 competition has got to really set the tone for your team, especially moving forward down the road in the playoffs.
Well, absolutely. You as you prepare for the playoffs, you kind of want to see everything that can get thrown at you. I don't want to come into district play or playoff play and be able to see a team or a style of play that I haven't seen during the course of the year. The greatness about the state of Missouri is that everyone gets the opportunity to go to the playoffs. So I look at it as those first 9 games, those are like practice tests. So we want to make sure that we prepare and we do everything we need to do, because week 10, which is the first game for the playoffs, I want to make sure that we are prepared to take the original test.
I would think that it's going to be pretty electric out at Cardinal Ritter for your first game against Jackson, coming off the 2 titles. What do you expect that night, and what do you want to tell the fans?
Man, I expect Jackson to come in very prepared. I expect our guys to be able to do what we've been doing over the course of the summer and just gearing up. The beauty of it is that like I said, it is a practice test, right? Meaning win or loss, we're still going to get in the playoffs. However, we want to get our guys in that winning mentality. We want to continue to keep that going, because what it does, it feeds into the following week.
So you're taking the team on the road, Rochester, Illinois, a game in Illinois. You've got a game in New Orleans, Louisiana, another big one in Shawnee Mission, Kansas. Do these road trips, does this kind of like help prepare the kids for maybe even moving on in college prep?
Oh, absolutely, and that's what it does. College prep is an extension that's on the field to in the classroom. So we want these guys to be able to be in all type of different environments. We want these guys to be uncomfortable. We want these guys to be able to use this as a learning tool as they progress onto the collegiate level.
Freddie Moore was one of your kids. He's gone up to the University of Michigan. Jim Harbaugh was really excited when he was at Michigan, talking about breaking into the St. Louis market.
Yeah.
Apparently, the St. Louis market's got a heck of a lot of wide receiver talent, D-backs, running backs, and things like that. Has St. Louis been overlooked in the past, and are big-time schools just catching on now, like Harbaugh?
Well,
because he's not with Michigan anymore. But.
I wouldn't necessarily say overlook. I would just say maybe just kind of under recruited a little bit. Now we're at a point now where people have taken notice of not just the St. Louis area, but the Midwest area. It's a lot of good high-level players here, and it's a good opportunity to be able to come in and be able to get you a good player or two.
So Freddie Moore, I'm sure you're excited to have coached him. People in Michigan that I've talked to that went there, are alumni and boosters, they're really excited about Freddie up there, and they think he has a chance to have a really good season.
Oh, he does. He's a high-level player. You know, Michigan just doesn't come down and just grab anybody, right? So he's one of those guys. He's a game changer. He brings great energy, and most importantly, he's a winner.
Talk about some of the other players that you've coached over the last couple of years, coming off the 2 state titles. I'm sure you've got a lot of coaches and administrations coming to Cardinal Ritter to check out some of the kids, to watch game film. You know, how's it going? Who are some of the top players that are going to the next level?
I have maybe 10 plus that are already on collegiate levels now.
Wow.
Heading into this season, I have maybe 6 or 7 already committed, and we're looking to get more guys locked down and committed. It sounds easy, right, when you throw those numbers out, but it's real difficult when you're competing against the transfer portal, you're competing against other aspects of the game and the dynamics of NCAA changing and things like that. But so far, I've done a great job being able to get these guys placed, and they have done everything they're supposed to do academically as well as athletically.
With all the scouts watching your team, you know, how do you balance coaching and dealing with the recruiting? Or do they go hand in hand?
Oh, they absolutely go hand in hand. A coach just isn't a coach on the field. He's a coach in the building. He's a coach after the game, before the game. He always keeps that coaching hat on. So it's an ongoing process. I love it. I love the development of the players as they come in as a freshman and they leave as young men. That's the purpose of me coaching. That's the benefit of it. The curriculum is tougher, but what it does, it prepares you for wherever you go. You need 30 units to graduate, where typically most schools you need maybe 22 or 24. So the grading scale is a little bit higher, it's a little bit tougher, but what it does is definitely prepares you for when you step off the field or off the track or off the court. When you get on campus, wherever you're going, you'll be day one ready.
St. Louis has got a big JFL program. You know, you got City Rec, you've got Chesterfield, you've got all the different ones around the area. How important is it, do you think, to start maybe playing at the JFL level, or do you think as time goes by, people think that kids should start playing football a little bit later?
Well, I think kids should play. I have a son right now who plays JFL. I love it. It's one of those situations. I played JFL football, and one thing it did for me, it kind of created an identity for myself. Just growing up, both parents in the household, they gave me everything I wanted and needed, but it was something I got out of football that my mom and dad couldn't give me. So it's just being able to play, being able to kind of create an identity for yourself, just kind of figure out who you are as a person at an early age. So I'm for it, for young boys playing early.
What about Southeast Missouri State University? I know you're an alumni, and you played down at SEMO, and you played at Vashon before that. You were very highly touted coming out of high school. How about some of the additions down at Southeast Missouri with Houck Stadium, and they're going to be on ESPN playing North Alabama, kicking off the college football season? Yeah,
that's huge for Southeast Missouri State. You know, when I was there, SEMO was a FCS school in OVC, and they're still FCS and OVC. However, with the transfer portal, it's a little bit different, right? The guys are a little bit better. They're bigger. They're stronger. You get a lot of guys who, back then when I played, we were typically right out of high school, FCS kids. But now you get a lot of guys that are moving around. Maybe a guy who came from a Power 5 who's down playing at SEMO. So kudos to them. They're heading into the right direction, and Coach Tuca's doing an awesome job.
I know a lot of coaches like Nick Saban, they're not real fond of the transfer portal. Well, they can jump around the coaches, they can move around if they want. Right. But it seems like if you're a star player and maybe you're a second or third string, the transfer portal's great. But if you're a blue chipper and you're just jumping around schools, is that a problem?
Well, it's to each his own. Every player has their own individual reasons for why they're doing what they're doing. But at the end of the day, it's creating opportunity for a lot of guys. It can be beneficial.
Perfect. Well, your wife is the track coach.
Yes.
At Cardinal Ritter, and she's had great success. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break now and stay with us as Cardinal Ritter track coach Tiffany Spain will join the conversation on the flip side. We'll be right back.
I, Krista, take you, Jamie, to be my wife.
When we found out that we were pregnant, we were just elated. We were just sitting there waiting for the pediatrician. She said she won't be taking you in as a client.
We are a lesbian couple, but she's just a baby. She's the one you're denying the service to.
And welcome back to Inside Sports. I'm Todd Blackstock. Our second guest today has led Cardinal Ritter's girls track team to 4 straight titles. Tiffany Spain, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
That's kind of cool. You guys probably got to drive together here today. We'll get to that in a minute, but congratulations on, now you're both the boys and girls track coach.
Yes.
Now the boys team is very good.
Absolutely.
And the girls team is just off the charts, winning 4 straight state titles.
Yes.
What do you do? What are they drinking in the water on the track football and basketball courts?
It's just a Cardinal Ritter standard. That's just what it is. We have a standard, and the standard is just to be your best, do great, get them out and through, and buy into the programs. And that's what everybody does. They buy into their specific programs.
So you've got quite a sprinter in the 100 and 200 meters for the last 2 or 3 years. Yeah. And I know I'd like to discuss her a little bit about, because she's done some amazing things and won, titles 3 years in a row in the 100 and 200 meters?
Yeah, Anaya Brown.
Anaya Brown, just talk about that young lady.
Yeah, she is a phenomenal young lady. She has been a national champion for several years, since the age of 9. So her name ring bells around the track world, and we're just so fortunate to have her at Cardinal Ritter. She's a hard worker. She's now going to the Ohio State. She actually leaves this weekend, so I am a bittersweet moment. But I cannot wait to see what she does on this next level. She is determined, and she's been ready since she was a little child.
I mean, the Big Ten's coming. They're coming. You've got, Freddie over at the University of Michigan, and now she's going to the Ohio State University. That's pretty special. Yeah. And I know there's another pretty special participant on your track team that's done quite well in the high and low hurdles, something that kind of hits close to home.
Absolutely, absolutely. Our daughter, Kendall Spain, is one of the top, not only one of the top hurdlers in Missouri, but one of the top hurdlers in the country. And she's coming up to her senior year, so she has one more year to be dominant and, to progress and be great. And it's a bittersweet moment for us because this is our baby. This is our last year of high school. But Kendall is a hard worker outside of her being, our daughter. She works hard. She's been working hard. She's been running track since she was 8 years old, or maybe younger. And she just works hard. She's determined. She has her goal, and her eyes are set on the goal. And she'll be looking to make a pretty big decision here soon.
From what I've remember growing up playing sports, the coach's son was likely a pitcher, likely a quarterback, somebody that is in the room when conversations occur. They almost take on a bit of an assistant coach type situation. You're kind of a segue between the coach and the players. Is that situation like that at Cardinal Ritter with her? I'm sure some of the other runners and sprinters might, ask her things, and, is she a good mentor to the other kids?
She is a very good mentor. She is hard on her teammates. She's definitely hard on her teammates, but she's a really good mentor. She's a really good, I guess, mini coach, if you want to put it that way. But she's determined, like I said, and she holds her teammates accountable.
Now, Coach Brennan, I assume that a lot of times you two drive together. You can save on a little gas right there. Do you drive together to Cardinal Ritter? Does your schedules work out that way, or
No, we don't. Yeah. We don't drive together. Our schedules don't always meet. Mm-hmm. So during the course of the football season, I'm there extremely late. And the good thing is that my son, who I mentioned earlier, who's playing Little League football, she's in position to be able to get him ready and get him on the practice. And by the time I leave the school, I can catch the tail end of his practice. So our job duties it never stops, right? From when we wake up 7 a.m. to maybe 8, 9, 10 o'clock that day is consistent moving with not just my son, but my middle child as well as my oldest girl.
So you say your son's playing JFL right now? Yes. So how far along is he? And would Cardinal Ritter maybe, come looking for maybe him to join the program someday?
Yeah, but he's just heading to the second grade. He's heading into year 3 playing. He's been playing since he was 5.
A little too early.
Yeah, a little too early. But if you're not careful, those years will sneak up on you. So he loves it. He's always around Cardinal Ritter. Everyone knows him. So he's just being a kid.
So you're both from St. Louis. You're both city, I guess, public high student athletes. And can you walk us back a little bit about through your upbringing through track and field? Because I know it did start right here in the PHL.
Oh, yeah, it did. I first started running track when I was in the 7th grade for the St. Louis Blues track club, who are near and dear to my heart. That's where my foundation started, and that's where my kids' foundation started. And then I went to high school at Gateway Institute of Technology, which is now Gateway STEM, where I was a very successful athlete, coming up under Curtis Downing and Rodney Dotson, who was my AAU track coach. And then I got a scholarship to Missouri Baptist University under the leadership of Vince Bingham. And then, I came back to Gateway to volunteer at the time after graduating from college under Juanita Coleman, who was a great mentor. And then I went on to Ladue High School under Keith Harder, who was an excellent mentor, and Stefan Greenlee. And then 2017, I got the opportunity to come to Cardinal Ritter to coach.
Congratulations, and it seems like they're very happy to have you, and you guys have a great relationship going on there. And I'm sure it's a very professional relationship. I mean, when I was in high school, there were people that were married that were teachers, and it was all up and all professional. And one thing I wanted to touch on was you mentioned like the St. Louis Blues track program. Mm-hmm. Now, at what point in time do you think it's a good time to get involved, with youth track? Because, I mean, if you can play football at, 6, 7 years old, I'm sure track and field is a great thing to get involved with as well, to burn energy and get the kids out. They got a lot of energy and they want to get out of the house and do something.
I started my oldest at the age of 5. I started my middle child, Logan, at the age of 3. And we started our son, Brennan Jr., at the age of 3. So the earlier, the better. The more they get the fundamentals, the more they understand what meters are. Pee Wee level, they only run the 100, the 50 meters, and long jump. But the older you get, the longer everything becomes. And I think you need to get them in there as soon as possible.
Now, as far as the boys' track team goes, do you encourage them to go out for football? And Brennan, do you encourage your football players to run track, play basketball or baseball, or is it better to focus on one sport?
No, so actually every male, except for maybe 1 or 2 that runs track, plays football. All my skill guys have to run. I explain to them all the time, for all you guys who have these collegiate dreams, possibly NFL dreams, this game is built on speed, right? And knowing how to run. So if you can't do those things, you're going to be kind of in trouble playing football. So those guys know once you walk through the doors, they know if you play football, you definitely have to run track.
I've seen instances where there's a lot of burnout if you just play one sport. I mean, if you play baseball summer, fall, and spring, and you're a pitcher, you could burn that arm out. Yeah. If you're a quarterback, maybe you could be a pitcher. How important is it, this is to both of you, to develop those alternative muscles? Because if you play football all the time, you have these muscles. You know, if you got basketball, you got your muscle memory going on. On track, you're fast. Baseball, it's different muscles as well. How important do you think it is to use all those different muscles?
I think it's very important. You very rarely connect with burnout in track and field because there's so much you can be doing. You know, you can try jumps, high jump, long jump, triple jump, shot put, disc. I mean, it's a number of things. Hurdles you can try. It's a number of things that you can do if you feel like you are becoming, you know, burnt out on anything. But just with track and field, football, basketball, baseball, this day and age in this society, they're going to find something where it's something new, something they learn new. It's always something new. You always, you know, can be learning and teaching what you've learned and what's new to learn. And so I don't think too many kids nowadays, you know, experience burnout because there's always something new you can do.
Now, with that being said, how do you feel about your football players wanting to play basketball? Because I'm sure at the beginning of the basketball season, you're probably in postseason. So there's kind of that uncomfortable changeover time where the basketball coach, he wants you there now, but the football coach he's needing you for the, you know, for the championship games.
Well, that's the great thing about Cardinal Ritter. We don't really have those problems in reference to guys who wants to play this sport or want to play another sport. The thing is that typically when guys kind of get up in age, you're talking maybe junior, senior year, a lot of guys kind of say, okay, well, this is what I want to focus on. I want to focus on this. I want to focus on that. So typically, freshman, sophomore, so we have a lot of guys who kind of do both. But by the time juniors, seniors, some of those guys have kind of narrowed it down, like, hey, I just want to focus on basketball, or I want to focus on football or track or baseball or whatever the case may be.
We talked about maintaining academic standards in the first segment. Cardinal Ritter is getting a lot of scholarships. I mean, you received scholarships from the St. Louis Sports Commission, from Cameron Claiborne. It wasn't for his academics, but it's for his sportsmanship. I've seen some tape on Cameron. Great defensive lineman. And he runs track too, from what I understand. And what did Cameron do so special to get the national recognition from the St. Louis Sports Commission and that scholarship?
Well, I would say his consistency, not necessarily on the field or when he's in the shot put ring, but just in the classroom. You're talking about a young man who's always working, who's always trying to perfect his craft academically as well as athletically. So his just consistency kind of drew that to him.
I read with this thing with the Sports Commission that they were really impressed that he was competing against another athlete. I think it might have been in track. And the other athlete like came up with a hammy or something came, and you know Cameron went over there and helped the guy out and you know got him up to speed, and because he wanted to compete with him, he just didn't want to win a race without the full competition.
That sound about right.
That's the one thing that, that we're good at as far as teaching our young athletes, as far as sportsmanship and you know, helping your fellow athletes or peers out as you go. It's no rivals or anything like that. We want to compete against the best, and if you are the best, we're going to do whatever we can to help you, to help one another. We love giving a hand. We love helping each other just to be the best, and I will want to compete against the best, so I will do what I have to do to help his hamstring as well.
Heck yeah, well, one of the best is NFL Hall of Famer Isaac Bruce, and he I was watching where he was at Cardinal Ritter assisting with a local sponsor in raising money and giving some money for scholarships to Cardinal Ritter students. I thought that was a pretty neat thing. Were you there at that day? Or
yeah, that was he did I want to say a partnership with Ameren where they came in and they, I want to say gave out some scholarships to some students, not just athletes, but just students in general, because those are the type of opportunities that are there at Cardinal Ritter.
So the Paris Olympics have probably at least 9 athletes from the St. Louis area. Brandon Miller was an intern here at STL TV for a while, so we're familiar with him, and Freddie Crittenden III are competing. The USA men's track field teams are really off the charts. They're doing great in basketball, but how fun is it for you to watch the the Olympics, you know, and watch the track and field people compete?
Oh, it's very exciting. I mean, you would think that I'm watching a football game as loud as I'm yelling, but it's very exciting, especially to see Brennan and Freddie and, you know, others from St. Louis. It just gives our kids inspiration that, you know, hey, you can also be there one day. And most of our kids have dreams post-collegiate, and that just goes to show them that, you know, your dreams can come true. Brandon Miller has been working hard since he was a child. He has been winning things in national meets and national ranks since he was a child. So this has come nothing too surprise for us. We knew that it was always in him. And, you know, he has a great foundation. You know, Coach Norwood has been his coach for, you know, a number of years. And he's just an awesome kid.
Before we let you go, what do you think of social media? I'm sure that's got to be a topic of conversation. It wasn't when I was growing up because we didn't have Facebook or any of that. But before we let you go, what are your thoughts on social media, getting likes? I mean, you want to get the pictures out there. You know, you want to get videos of the competitions and things. But sometimes it can be a little overwhelming, and people spend a little bit more time on there than they probably need to.
Well, as far as football goes, I mean, you know, people just post just to post, but realistically, everything stems off the relationship from your coach, from your high school coach to the college coach. College coaches, I don't really think spend too much time on Twitter looking for the next great guy. You know, all those things are done within the recruiting department from the university to the high school coaches. So
Would you just tell them, like, watch out, don't post if you're like kicking it with, you know, later on in the night.
Definitely don't do that.
Tell them, you know, don't post anything inappropriate. Use this as an outlet to help yourself get to the next level. You know, if you want to post your races, if you want to post, you know, your game film, your huddle film, you know, that is absolutely great. We didn't have that opportunity when we were in high school, so we just tell them to use that as a positive outlet.
Perfect. Well, Tiffany and Brennan, thank you so much for joining us on Inside Sports. We feel so lucky. We caught you towards the late summer when there's a little bit of downtime, and we got you here in the studios, and it's been our pleasure and honor to have you here.
We greatly appreciate it.
Thank you. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
That's our show for today. We especially like to thank our studio guests for joining us, and a tip of the hat for you for watching Inside Sports on STL TV. Experience St. Louis.